We are going to go ahead and get started with the next portion of the program. Mr. Sterling Hughes from the Arkansas Rehab Services Department is not here because if you look at your watch, we're running about 40 minutes ahead of schedule, so he is not here yet. But what we're going to do is start with the two individuals that work here on campus, and as Mr. Hughes get here, we'll bring him in on the latter part of the program. And what we're going to do is Dr. Hertz and Ms. Payne will give a short 10 to 15-minute presentation on their subject area, and then we'll open the floor up for questions if you have any, and then we'll proceed from there. Who's going first? Dr. Hertz is going first.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I hope I will not bore you to death and you go to sleep on me. Now, there will be some things that I will cover with you that I want you to respond to, and I tell you to please read on the UAPB webpage, and you've got to say okay. First of all, I want to start with this sheet. I didn't get everybody one of these sheets, but what we're going to do is have them scanned and sent out on a campus bulletin. I wanted to make sure that you got something in your hand that you could take with you in relationship to this. These are affirmative action, equal opportunity documents and information policies. The first one I want you to look at. Well, I have the instructions for you to go to the web page and find the Faculty Staff Handbook. The Faculty Staff Handbook is the most important important document in relationship to what we're covering, what I am covering here today. I do get calls from to my office in relationship to all of these areas of protected classes, and I want you to know, and what the policy is, what the affirmative action policy is. It's really a one-statement policy, but it's a very important policy, and that policy says that UAPB is an equal opportunity affirmative action institution that adheres to the basic principles of non-discrimination, and that covers everything. And then it gives you the protected classes, which I have listed here. Disability, veteran with disabilities, Vietnam veterans, preference, race and national origin discrimination, age, and sex. Now, I want to make a distinction here that sex discrimination and sexual harassment are two different things in our policy. So sex discrimination is when you're probably hiring somebody or you're giving preference to somebody for some reason. But sexual harassment is nationally is still a problem. It's still a problem, and we are going to have someone come in from the federal government to talk to us about sexual harassment. The cases that we have gotten, they vary. So we want you to really, when you go to that webpage, I want you to go and look up the Faculty Staff Handbook and read the sexual harassment policy, because many times people don't know that they are sexually harassing somebody. You may think it's funny or cute or whatever you may want to think it is, but if that person is offended in any way by it, it is sexual harassment as far as they are concerned. And the other piece there is, in a case a few years back where people were talking about this person and their sexual orientation, that kind of thing. They're talking about it. And the person told them. And that person filed with our office. And the people who were just talking, gossiping, they were offended because we had to address it. And they got mad at me, but they should not have been doing what they were doing. Because one thing about it, I think all of us who are appointed to positions, we do our jobs. Friendship, kinship, and all takes a walk when we get ready to do our jobs, the jobs that the university is paying us to do. So make sure you read this sexual harassment policy. I'll read a little bit of it to you, just to kind of whet your appetite, as if that's possible to do. UAPB is committed to its mission of providing an academic and employment environment that fosters excellence. Sexual harassment violates the trust and respect essential to the preservation of such an environment and threatens the education, employment, and well-being of its community members. University members have the right, not the privilege, have the right to work and study in an environment free of any form of sexual harassment. This policy may not be used to infringe upon academic freedom, though. Students, faculty, staff, and guests must be aware of the need for freedom of inquiry and openness of discussion in its educational and research programs, and must strive to create and maintain an atmosphere of intellectual seriousness and mutual tolerance in which these essential features of academic life can thrive. No university can or should guarantee that every idea expressed in a classroom or laboratories will be inoffensive to all. Pursued seriously, education and scholarship necessarily entail raising questions about perceived opinions and conventional interpretations. Now, I know that we haven't had that much trouble with that with the sexual harassment, but I know, I can give my own self an example. When I was teaching my class in philosophy, we always dealt with a lot of the religious issues. Well, Pine Bluff is quite Baptist and all of that. And so when you start talking about things that other groups may be right, you don't know what may fit them. Well, I had a lot of people in my classes who were offended, but that's a part of intellectual exchange that we must do in a classroom. Everybody is one size does not fit all. So I wanted to cover that with you. Even though the sexual harassment, religion is a problem also. If you receive a report of sexual harassment, even though you may not be a supervisor, you can be just a worker at this institution. If you get a report that someone has been sexually harassed and you do not report it, now I'm talking about something that's viable. I'm not talking about something that may not be the truth. It's just it. But if it's something that you think that is really important, you need to report it. You report it to my office, or you may report it to your supervisor, because the university stands to be sued if it's not reported. If it's reported to someone at the institution, and we've had a case where the person was a vendor here at the university. They were coming in and I think they did drink machines or something. But it was too much, it was overbearing. And it was not reported until like a year later. And we didn't know what happened. But the vendor was offended, but it didn't know where to go. So we have to realize that this is an environment that is safe from sexual harassment. And anybody who is in our environment, whether it's after hours, during hours, or whatever, it needs to be reported. If something happens after hours, then you report it to the university police. It's all in this sexual harassment policy. If it's happening during the hours, then you report it to somebody, but preferably a supervisor who may report it to my office, especially if it's staff to staff or employment. But if it is a student, then you report it to Mr. Crumlin's office, the Dean of Students, or the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs office. So you remember that as you read the policy. The definition for sexual harassment, because many times we don't know what all it is. Sometimes we think it's something that it's not, and sometimes we don't think enough about it. So the definition for it is all on the UAPB webpage. But sexual harassment generally includes any unwanted or unsolicited sexual gestures, physical contact, or statement, which when viewed from the perspective of a reasonable person, similarly situated, is offensive, threatening, humiliating, or interferes with a person's ability to perform his or her job, educational pursuit, or participation in campus life. It is a prohibited act by federal law as well as state law, and all of that is in the policy. I'm going to give you some of the behaviors. I won't give you all of them. Sexual harassment includes any behavior of a sexual nature where submission to or rejection of the conduct is made either explicitly or implicitly a term of condition of employment or status in a UAPB-sponsored course, program, or activity. Sexual harassment may occur within a variety of relationships. And here in our policy, there are 7 relationships that are listed, such as employer to employee, faculty and student, administrator and student, employee and student, senior and junior faculty, graduate assistant and undergraduate student, administrator, and or faculty. An example of sexual harassment, what may be offensive to one person may be less offensive to another. You have physical assault, suggestion and submission to or rejection of sexual advances, repetitive remarks or actions, flirting, unwelcome visual contact or body language, whistling, catcalls, leering, okay, that's enough. You read it yourself. Read it yourself, okay? It is kind of funny. There are 11 of them, and it tells you quickly that it's not limited to that. So complaints to my office may be done anonymously. I have to pursue it, especially if it's done formally, and if it seems that it has some characterizations there that's important. Sexual harassment is a serious breach of professional ethics for a faculty member to initiate acquiesce in a sexual relationship with a student and so forth. You read that yourself. Okay, I want to get into consensual relationships, okay, where there may be a student and a faculty member who have a consensual relationship. A consensual relationship between a student and faculty where the student is in that teacher's classroom is absolutely prohibited here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. If that student is studying with you. Okay. So it is a serious breach of professional ethics for a faculty member to initiate a sexual relationship with a student who is under the personal supervision of the faculty member. Therefore, UAPB prohibits consensual sexual relationships between a faculty member and a student enrolled in a course taught by the faculty member whose academic work is supervised by the faculty member. This applies even when both parties appear to have consented to the relationship. A faculty member who is or has been involved in a consensual sexual relationship with a person should not enter into a student-teacher relationship with that person. Okay. Consenting romantic relationships between supervisors and subordinates are strongly discouraged, not prohibited, strongly discouraged. Supervisors exercise power over subordinates, whether in promotion, raises, evaluation, recommendation, job duties, assignments, and other. And one thing it's looked at in terms of abuse of power. Now, we always look at abuse of power as when someone is abusing their power over someone. Well, you can abuse your power by allowing the subordinate to take control. That's abuse of power. You have the power, and you acquiesce that power to a subordinate for sexual relationship. That's abuse of power. So don't forget it. Okay. Okay, then it gets into disciplinary actions. Okay, and you can read that, but there's some strong disciplinary actions that takes place in relationship to this. And another is retaliation. If somebody reports something and you retaliate against that person, that's another case altogether. It's a separate case. Malicious allegations, complaints, false information. Be careful about that. So don't be a carrier of information if you don't know that it is the truth, because that causes a problem for you. Okay? There's the record keeping and then procedures and reporting. What I wanted to get to quickly, sexual harassment has its own procedure for complaint. It has a separate procedure to the university's disciplinary action procedures. So I want that if you look at that sexual harassment policy, you will see that there is a complaint procedure that is tied to that. Then the other thing I did, I put 9, which is disciplinary action and complaint resolution for almost anything else. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that there was a separate procedure for sexual harassment. And the other one that I have on the page is about any other complaint resolution. In order to find affirmative action forms, any other kind of forms on the UAPB webpage, you go to the webpage and click faculty student link and look up administrative forms, and you will find the affirmative action data form, the basic data form, and the grievance form. It is on the webpage. We made sure that it's there. And that's about all I have, but I want to make sure that you read this yourself, because we do get some complaints where people say, well, I didn't know we had affirmative action, had a sexual harassment policy. Yes, we do, and you all read it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Would all the new faculty just raise your hand for me a moment? Okay. I just want to say that I was new faculty last year, and this is what happens to you the second year. Okay. Okay. I was asked to provide information pertaining to child maltreatment. And as you're aware, you just pick up any newspaper and you probably read at least weekly about an incident involving child maltreatment. The information that I will share with you today is taken from the Arkansas Commission on Child Abuse, Rape, and Domestic Violence. So if I could have about 10 minutes of your time to share this information. And you're probably asking yourself, why do I need to know this information? The reason is we are all part of the prevention community. So by law, and I will talk about Act 1236, by law, you all should be aware of what child abuse looks like, sexual abuse, because we all work in a educational institution, and you must receive this information today. Act 1236 of 2011 requires educational agencies, institutions to provide training to licensed personnel, including recognizing signs of maltreatment, requirements of the Child Maltreatment Act, duties of mandated reporters, methods for managing disclosure, connecting victims to services. What is child maltreatment? Child maltreatment means abuse, neglect, and abandonment of a child by the caretaker. This person may include a parent, guardian, custodian, or foster parent. The caretaker may be anyone who is 10 years age or older and entrusted with the care of the child. Child maltreatment occurs when the caretaker harms the child, lets harm come to the child, or fails to meet the child's basic needs. Child maltreatment also includes sexual abuse and exploitation of a child, whether by a caretaker or by another person, and that information was taken from the Arkansas government website. Recognizing signs of physical abuse. First, I will share with you physical, what you can see. You may see bruises or marks in unusual places or in patterns, bruises in various stages of healing. Explanation of injury differs from parent explanation, and the behavioral patterns that you will look for: that child may become frightened when other children cry, says the parent deserves to be hurt, is afraid of certain people. Recognizing indicators of neglect. Physical would be the person or that child is underweight, always hungry, not clean, inappropriately dressed, denied medical or dental care. Behavioral telltale signs include begs or steals food, arrives early and leaves late, frequent unexplained absences, overtired or limp. Recognizing signs of sexual abuse. Physical behavior includes difficulty walking or sitting, wearing torn, stained, or bloody underwear, injury to private parts, pain when urinating. Behavior observations include acts withdrawn or younger than age, displays sexual behavior, tells you that she has secrets or he cannot tell, tries to hurt oneself. The requirements of the Child Maltreatment Act: when making a report, you must have an allegation that, if true, would meet a legal definition of child abuse. Enough information to locate the family. Where the child attends school is not enough information to locate the family. And if you would be so kind just to write this number down, 800-482-5964, because when you report the incident, you do not have to identify yourself, or by fax. I don't know if you can see the small print that's there, but to get the forms, there are several forms that you can complete, and if you would like to look at the form, and I actually pulled the form up last night, it looks just like a memo. It's to, from, and then you just give a brief description, of what you observed. And it's also encouraged that if you witness a child that is being abused, and sometimes you're in settings, maybe in the grocery store or whatever, what you have to do is take notes, especially if it's repetitive behavior. Requirements of the Child Maltreatment Act: school officials shall not prohibit or require permission or notification for any employee or volunteer to directly report child maltreatment to the hotline. Anyone who suspects child maltreatment may make a report, and that's anyone in this room. Requirements of the Child Maltreatment Act: investigators have the right to enter school campus to interview students for child maltreatment investigations. Investigators have the right to prohibit schools from notifying parents if a student is interviewed at school. as part of an investigation if the parent or guardian is listed as an alleged offender. And I think that part is self-explanatory because sometimes parents will coach the child into saying things that actually did not happen. The Child Maltreatment Act lists the professions of those legally required to report suspected abuse. Each school has many individuals who are mandated by law to report directly to the hotline. Those mandated reporters in schools are counselors, nurses, teachers, school officials, school resource officers. Some people must, by law, report suspected child maltreatment. Mandated reporters shall immediately report suspected child maltreatment to the hotline when they have reasonable cause to suspect that a child has been abused. Telling a counselor, principal, or other professionals does not meet your legal requirement. The Act protects mandated reporters who report in good faith from criminal and civil liabilities. The Act establishes criminal penalties for mandated reporters who fail to report, including jail time and fines. The Act also establishes civil penalties, including a loss of professional licensure and monetary judgments. Managing disclosure, develop trust. It's suggested that you do the following: allow the child to be heard, meet with the child separately, remember that you may be the only adult who has the chance to understand the child. Do consider your response before you are in a real situation. Do pay attention to your body language. Do know the reporting law. Do let the child know that it was brave to share something, no matter how minimal, about a difficult subject. Do document the actual words. Do call the child abuse hotline or submit the fax form if it is not an emergency. Don't try to conduct an investigation yourself. Don't act shocked, horrified, scared, etc. Don't share this information with others. Don't try to talk a child out of what he or she is saying. Don't suggest to the child that he or she may have been abused. Don't attempt to find out the details from the parent. Don't stand over the child while he or she is talking to you. In summary, as a member of the community and society at large, we all play a large role in positive development of our country's children. Each and every one of us in this room have tremendous influence over children, even when we think they are not watching. A careful adult can prevent, offset, or reverse the harm caused by an abusing or neglectful parent or caregiver. Thank you.
When Michael first contacted me, he told me he wanted me to come up and talk about our agency. I'm Sterling Hughes. I'm with Arkansas Rehabilitation Services. We're a division of career education. We work with individuals that have disabilities. Some of the disabilities you can see, and some of them you cannot see. So ages are anywhere from 16 up. If they're under 18 and if they're a dropout, then we must have something from that school stating that that person is a dropout before we can work with them. But if they are in high school, then we try to pick that individual up when they are seniors, their second semester, so we might be able to help them with training. Most of our students, our clients, we work with them, we train them so they can go to work. If they don't want to go to work, normally we don't even take an application on them. When I say training, we can train them at a 2-year institution, a 4-year institution, beauty school, barber school, nursing school, CNA, flying, they want to be a pilot. There are many areas that we can train them in. but they have to want to go to work. If they don't want to go to work, then we won't work with them. We have 10 counselors in our area, what we call District 10. That's Pine Bluff and Monticello. We have 7 counselors here in Pine Bluff, and we have 3 counselors in the Monticello office. We serve 10 counties. Here in the Pine Bluff office, we have Jefferson, Grant, Cleveland, and Grant. In Monticello, we have the lower 6 counties, which is Lincoln and Drew County, Ashley, Deshay, Chico, and Bradley. So we serve all these individuals. Also, we survey, the agency survey every high school in the state of Arkansas. We have to do that. So we have about 23 high schools in our area, and we survey all the seniors that we can survey. We have what you call case service money to serve these people. And within my district, which is District 10, we have about $2.2 million to serve these clients. But they got to do what's right in order for us to help them. If you have a student that want to come to UAPB, we're not going to pay the entire tuition. We might pay $1,000. We might pay $1,500. We might pay $500 for textbook. It depends on an individual need rather than what they want. And these students, you know, they talk to each other. And, you know, we just try to tell them that just because somebody received $1,500, this person here might get $2,000. It's based on the individual needs. So whatever they need, we try to help them. And the main thing is if they come out here to go to any institution, they must maintain the C average. They have to carry 12 semester hours to be a full-time student. Now, if they do not carry 12 hours and cannot maintain a C average, then we need to know why. Online courses, we're not crazy about online courses because we can't monitor those courses. We don't like to pay for online courses, but we do sometimes. You know, I tell the counselors if they're senior and the only way they can get their degree is to take that online course, go ahead on and pay for it. But if we have freshmen coming in, they want to take 9 hours, no, online. You know, we have students, they're very slick. You know, we can't monitor online courses. They can give us somebody else's grades. You know, we've had that happen out here and at CR. They come in with it printed, their name on it, but it's somebody else's grades. So there's a lot of things that our agency can do to help the students. If we can't send them to an institution here or somewhere else, we have an institution over at Hot Springs, ACTI, Arkansas Career Training Institute, where we can send them over there and they can get some training at Hot Springs. They have about 13 different training areas that they can go. I call it a little college. They can go over and stay. Room, board, and everything's free. You know, the hardest people that we have to work with are people that's joining SSI, SSDI, and mental illness. You know, those 3 people, they're up here, and all of a sudden, they disappear. Then they come back later on, won't help. But where you been the 6 or 7 months prior to today? You know, they'll call the governor on us. I don't know about you all. They will call the governor's office on us in a heartbeat if we deny them services. And invariably, we end up serving some cases that we shouldn't even serve. Some of them are political cases, and some of them are not political cases, but we end up doing that. I had a situation happen yesterday in a client. This client wanted to go to Alabama to receive heavy equipment training, $7,000. Well, this man didn't have a dime to pay on this training. Not a dime, but he wanted to go to Alabama. You have a school in Warren, Arkansas that he's from Chico County, Bradley County, that do the same thing. But he wanted to go to Alabama and get the training. Well, what do? You talk about it and, you know, you try to get clear some little rocks. Say, hey, this man want to do this. And make a long story short, we were told, you pay half up front, half at the end, be sure he have a job. Well, you can't say he's going to have a job when he get through. We might be out of $7,000 and he still might be walking around, going to Alabama. So, you know, and that's true. There's a lot of things that we can do if that person wants to help themselves. You know, we got $18 million what we call case service money. That's for all 10 districts in the state. Each district receives so much money. Like I stated, we receive like $2.2 million for 10 counselors. Here in Pine Bluff, we have 7 counselors, 7 VR counselors. Then we have a spinal cord man, we have a transition counselor, then we have a job placement person. So we have a lot of resources that we can help these students. And we have a team come out of Little Rock. They come to Pine Bluff every Thursday and do an evaluation on our clients, not all of them. You know, I tell my counselors, if you had a person make A's and B's or got a 3.5 or 4 in high school, then why are you going to do psychological testing on that person want to go to college? You're wasting your time if they make all A's and B's in high school. Go ahead on and pay the fall semester tuition and don't worry about it. Hope that person maintain a 2 and pass those 12 hours. The one that we're worried about, the one that comes in and have 11 or 12 on the ACT want to go to college and get mad because we won't pay tuition. We have that every day. So, you know, there are so many scenarios that we have every day. You know, I tell the counselors, we're just like a fireman. You know, every day you go to work, you don't know what kind of fire you're going to put out. Because just like out here, you have situations every day. But our main goal is to help you get to the point where you can be employed. That's the main thing. You know, don't close the door on them and let them close the door on themselves. Because do everything you can do as a counselor to help them. And once you do that, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, provide you with a copy of the transcript, provide you with the Pell information, provide you with their schedule for fall or spring semester. That's things that we need to know before we can even help you. And we have some that don't even want to do that and they get mad because we can't help them. Because the counselor give them a sheet. This is what I need in order for me to help you. We can't help you unless you help us. Yeah, it's very bad. Like I told Michael, you know, I can, you know, answer any question that you might have. I've been around the agency a minute, but I know Dr. Johnson. We used to be neighbors there years ago. So, you know, if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. But the gentleman mentioned accessibility. You know, that's very simple. If you have a student that's coming out here, they have to be able to access everything that you have. Your water fountain, your restroom, any buildings that you have going to and from campus, everywhere. They have to be able to do that. They can file a lawsuit. If they're in a building where they can't use the restroom or they can't use the water fountain, they can file a lawsuit. Places have to be accessible for all your disabled students that's in wheelchairs and not necessarily in wheelchairs. And if it's not, then UAPB is in violation of the law. You have to have that accessibility for everyone. People that are walking around, people that are in wheelchairs, whether the wheelchair is motorized or not motorized, it has to be accessible. And if it's not, like I said, you could be facing a lawsuit. You know, we have a gentleman called Disability Right. I don't know, excuse me, some of y'all might know, Eddie Miller. He told us in a manager's meeting, they're the only one that can sue the state. They're the only one that can sue the state. I don't know whether it's right or wrong. If you have a client to call them and somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they can actually sue the state to make them do something that maybe you don't want to do. You know, we've had that encounter 2 or 3 times with him, but we haven't been sued yet. But you have to work with your people and do all you can do to help them and let them know that you don't want them to fail. You don't want them to fail and you don't want to close the door on them. Because some of the people that we work with, probably you too, they've been failing all their lives. And you don't want to put them into a situation where they're going to fail the freshman year or sophomore year, whatever. But that does happen when they get into something that they can't do. You know, and most of them, we get them evaluated every Thursday in Pine Bluff and on Tuesdays in Monticello. You know, they give them psychological tests, and if there's a mental problem, we get a psychiatric evaluation. We get all the reports that we can get. If we have someone from the mental health center to come over on some services, we request a report from the mental health center stating this person is able and ready to go into training. We don't want to put somebody into training that they might be on 10 or 12 different medications. They might not can stay awake. So we don't know that until we get the report. Once we get the report, then it's when we sit down and talk to that individual. Because if it's a medical problem, we have doctors on staff. They make the medical decision. We don't make them. And if that doctor says yes, great. If that doctor says no, we can't help that person. You know, we have a lot of people, nothing against the ladies or the gentlemen. We have people come in and want the gastric bypass or the lap band surgery. Well, everyone that wants that particular procedure, they must have a psychiatric evaluation. You know, once they have that evaluation. And if you want that particular procedure, that 3 criteria you got to meet. First of all, you got to be 100 pounds overweight. Your BMI has to be 55 or above. Or you have to have been to a weight reduction place for 12 consecutive months. You have to meet all 3 of them. At one time, we could get a report from the physician. This person has been on this for 3 months or 5 months. It has to be 12 consecutive months. Now, if they don't have that, if they come to us, we can put them on a weight reduction program, but we will not do the lap band or the gastric bypass because they don't meet the criteria, unless it's life or death. If that doctor said, well, if this person does not get this procedure, they're going to, pass on or die, whatever word you want to use. Then that's another situation. We might have to save their life. So we have a situation right now with a lady. She said her surgery is going to cost $19,000. Well, she has a hiatal hernia and gastric reflux, and the doctor's going to do some kind of surgery because it's going down, eating her esophagus out. So we're trying to get medical information, see if we can help that person. And in so many words, if she doesn't get that surgery, it's going to develop into what? Cancer, in just a matter of time. But we have to have that information from the medical doctor, her surgeon, so we can give it to our doctor, and so she can make a decision. We don't make that decision.
And now we present Chancellor Calvin Johnson for our closing remarks. Please remember to meet us at Sissy's Log Cabin at 6:30 p.m. tonight. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I believe you would agree that we have had an outstanding program today. And just so you will know, on my way up here, my seatmate said, "You don't really have any closing remarks, do you?" And I said, "No, I do not." But nevertheless, I want to express appreciation to the Planning Committee and to all of you that have been participating today. It has really been a wonderful, well thought out, well planned program. And believe me, it addresses a very critical need in terms of re-imaging the Academy and promoting student success. So we look forward to another program tomorrow. And since I'm the only thing standing between you and going somewhere, I would like to ask Dr. Benjamin to join me up here for just a moment, please. Dr. Benjamin, on behalf of the Planning Committee and to the university faculty and staff, it is my pleasure to present to you this token of appreciation on our behalf. Thank you very much.
I love shopping bags.
Thank you for being here. 7 a.m. tomorrow